Jake Morrison stood at the window of Luna Base, watching Earth turn slowly in the distance. The blue planet looked peaceful from here, but Jake knew better. 3 years ago, everything changed when the aliens made contact. Not the friendly kind of contact people hoped for. The scary kind got the door behind him, opened with a soft hiss. Lieutenant Amy Stone walked in, her face serious. She carried a datapad that glowed with an urgent red light. "Captain, we just got a message from the Galactic Council," Amy said. Her voice was tight with worry. Jake turned away from the window. The Galactic Council was not good news. These aliens had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. They had 12 different alien races working together, and they did not like humans very much. What do they want now? Jake asked. Amy handed him the datapad. "You need to see this yourself, sir." Jake read the message. His face got darker with each word. The message was from Vexstar, a lizard-like alien who spoke for the council. The words were polite, but the meaning was clear. Humans had 30 days to give up all their weapons. They had to stop their military. They had to let the aliens take control of Earth. If humans said no, the aliens would destroy Earth completely. "Get Admiral Carter right now," Jake said. His voice was calm, but Amy could see anger in his eyes. Within minutes, Admiral Lisa Carter appeared on the communication screen. She was at Earth Defense Command, the main military base on Earth. Behind her, Jake could see other officers running around, all looking worried. "Admiral, I assume you got the same message we did," Jake said. Lisa nodded. "Every base in the solar system got it. The president is calling an emergency meeting in 1 hour." Jake looked at the message again. Do they really think we'll just give up? "They've done this before," Lisa said. "Our intelligence says they've forced hundreds of other species to surrender this way. Most aliens give up when they see how powerful the council is." "We're not most aliens," Jake said. Lisa smiled for the first time that day. "No, we're not." 1 hour later, President Kevin Walsh sat in the secure meeting room, deep under the White House. Around the table were the most important people in Earth's government and military. Admiral Carter was there in person now. Dr. Ryan Bell sat next to her, looking nervous but determined. Dr. Bell had been working on a secret project since first contact with the aliens. He called it Project Defiance. While the aliens thought humans were busy being scared, Dr. Bell and his team had been studying alien technology. They learned how alien weapons worked. They learned how alien ships were built. Most importantly, they learned how aliens fought. What's our real situation? President Walsh asked. Admiral Carter stood up. "The council has over 10,000 ships. We have maybe 200 that could fight in space. They have weapons that can destroy planets. We have missiles and railguns." "That sounds bad," the president said. "It would be," Dr. Bell said, speaking up for the first time, "if we planned to fight them the way they expect." Everyone looked at him. Dr. Bell was young for such an important job, but he was the smartest person most of them had ever met. "Explain," President Walsh said. Dr. Bell activated a holographic display. It showed alien ships in formation, flying in perfect lines like they were marching. "Every species the council has fought uses the same basic tactics," Dr. Bell said. "They line up their ships and shoot at each other until one side gives up. It's like ancient naval battles, but in space." "And?" Admiral Carter asked. "Humans don't fight like that. We never have. We use surprise. We use tricks. We adapt. The aliens have been winning for so long, they've forgotten how to deal with an enemy that doesn't follow their rules." Amy Stone, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. "Our intelligence says the council is actually worried about something. They call it illogical desperation. They're afraid of species that keep fighting, even when they should give up. That sounds like humans, President Walsh said with a grim smile. Dr. Bell nodded. We've been preparing for this. Our new ships don't look like alien ships. Our weapons don't work like alien weapons. And our people don't think like aliens. Admiral. Carter looked at the display, showing Earth's small fleet. 200 ships against 10,000. Even with better tactics, those are terrible odds. Not if we don't fight all 10,000 at once, Dr. Bell said. The Council thinks this will be easy. They'll send a small force first, just to scare. U.S. When that doesn't work, they'll send more. We just have to make sure each force they send doesn't make it home to report what really happened. President Walsh was quiet for a long moment. Everyone in the room knew this decision would change. Everything. If they said yes to the aliens, humans would become slaves. If they said no, they might all die. But there was really only one choice humans could make. Dr. Bell, how long before our new ships are ready? The President asked. Most are ready now, sir. We've been building them in secret for 2 years. Admiral Carter, how long before we can have our full defense fleet in position? 72 hours, Mr. President. President Walsh stood up. Then we have our answer for the Galactic Council. 2 days later, Vexstar waited in his ship just outside. Earth's solar system. He expected to receive humanity's surrender message at any moment. Most species gave up after just a few days of thinking about the Council's power. Instead, he received a transmission from President Walsh himself. The human leader appeared on screen, standing in what looked like a military command center. Behind him, human officers worked at computers and displays. Ambassador Vexstar, President Walsh said, we have considered your offer carefully. Vexstar relaxed. This was always how surrender messages started. We have decided to respectfully decline, the President continued. If the Galactic Council wants Earth's weapons, they are welcome to come and take them. The transmission ended. Vexstar stared at the blank screen, not believing what he had just heard. In 3,000 years of Council expansion, no species had ever said no. He immediately sent a message to the Council homeworld. The response came back within hours. The Council was sending a disciplinary fleet of 200 ships. That was enough firepower to destroy most planets. The Council was sure this would make the humans change their minds. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Commander Zarkith stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the small blue planet grow larger on the screen. The crystalline being had fought in 37 battles for the Galactic Council. Every time, the enemy had surrendered before. The fighting even started. This would be no different. 200 ships against a few dozen primitive human vessels. His second-in-command said, "This will be over quickly." Zarkith nodded. "The Council wants us to make an example of these humans. Other species need to see what happens when someone says no to the Council." The human homeworld looked peaceful. No massive defense platforms. No giant shields. Just a few small ships moving around near their space stations. "They don't even have proper formations," another officer said, pointing at the human ships. "Look, how scattered they are." What Zarkith didn't know was that Captain Jake Morrison was watching the alien fleet from the bridge of the ESV Retribution. This was humanity's newest warship, built with both human engineering and stolen alien technology. "They're coming in exactly like Dr. Bell predicted," Jake said to his crew. "Perfect formation, all ships together, moving slow and steady." "Lieutenant." Commander Tony Rivers grinned from the pilot's seat. "Like shooting fish in a barrel." "Not yet," Jake said. "Let them get closer. We need them to commit to their attack pattern." On the other side of the solar system, Captain Beth Clark waited with her squadron hidden in the asteroid belt. Her ships were painted black and running silent. The aliens had no idea they were there. "All units, this is Retribution," Jake's voice came over the radio. "Enemy fleet is approaching Mars. Begin Phase 1. Beth smiled. "You heard the man. Let's show these aliens how humans really fight." The Council fleet moved forward in their traditional formation. 3 lines of ships, perfectly spaced, weapons charged and ready. It was intimidating and powerful. It had worked against every enemy they had ever faced. Commander Zarkith was about to give the order to fire when something impossible happened. Human ships appeared from nowhere. They came from behind asteroids, from the shadows of moons, from places the alien sensors had said were empty. Worse, they weren't attacking the front of the alien formation like they should have. Instead, they hit the aliens from 6 different directions at once. "Impossible," Zarkith said. "How did they hide so many ships?" His tactical officer was frantically checking sensors. "Sir, these ships, they're not showing up properly on our scanners. Some kind of stealth technology we've never seen before." The first human attack wave slammed into the alien fleet's flanks. Dr. Bell's new quantum torpedoes passed right through alien shields like they weren't there. EMP weapons designed by engineer Sam Davis shut down alien ship computers, leaving the crystalline crews confused and blind. "Return fire," Zarkith ordered. "All ships return fire." But the aliens couldn't target what they couldn't see properly. Their weapons fired at empty space while human ships darted between the massive alien vessels like angry hornets. Lieutenant Colonel Joe Martinez was leading a group of small attack ships directly at the alien flagship. His ship was barely the size of an alien fighter, but it was fast and deadly. "Martinez to all units," he said over the radio. "Remember, these aliens have never fought anyone who gets in close. They don't know how to deal with boarding parties." Joe's ship dodged alien fire and slammed into the side of Zarkith's flagship. Cutting tools burned through the alien hull in seconds. Joe and his Marines poured into the alien ship, ready for close combat. The aliens were not ready for them. For thousands of years, the Council had fought wars with ships firing at each other from long distances. None of their species were good at hand-to-hand fighting anymore, but humans had evolved as hunters. They were built for this kind of fight. Joe's team moved through the alien ship like wolves through a flock of sheep. The crystalline aliens were strong, but they were slow and predictable. They had fancy energy weapons, but humans had simple, reliable firearms that worked even when alien computers were down. "This is Martinez," Joe reported as his team fought toward the alien bridge. "These guys have no idea how to fight up close. It's like they've never done this before." Back in space, the battle was going even worse for the aliens. Captain Beth Clark's squadron had emerged from the asteroid belt and was attacking the alien rear guard. Human ships moved in ways the aliens had never seen before. "They're not following any tactical doctrine," the alien tactical officer reported to Zarkith. "They break formation, reform, split up, come back together. Our computers can't predict their movements, then target them manually." Zarkith ordered, "Sir, our gunners haven't fired manually in decades. The computers always do the targeting." That was exactly what Dr. Bell had counted on. The aliens had become too dependent on their advanced technology. When humans jammed their systems, they didn't know how to fight anymore. Commander Tony Rivers dove his fighter through a gap between 2 alien dreadnoughts, firing as he went. His missiles weren't as advanced as alien weapons, but they were unpredictable. The alien computers couldn't figure out their flight patterns because they changed randomly. "This is Rivers," he called out. "Their big ships can't track small, fast targets. They're designed to fight other big ships." Captain Jake Morrison watched the battle from the Retribution's bridge. Everything was going according to plan, but he knew the aliens would adapt eventually. He needed to end this quickly. All ships, this is Morrison. Begin Phase 2. Target their command ship. The Retribution accelerated toward the alien flagship. Jake could see the damage from Joe Martinez's boarding action. Explosions were lighting up the alien ship from inside. "Sir," his weapons officer said, "we're getting a transmission from the alien commander. Put it on screen." Commander Zarkith peered on the display. Behind him, Jake could see smoke and sparks. The alien looked confused and angry. "Human commander," Zarkith said, "your tactics are unexpected, but you cannot win. We have more ships, better weapons." Jake smiled. "Do you? Let me show you something." On cue, Dr. Bell's newest weapon activated. The solar lance was a focused beam of energy collected from Earth's sun. It had taken 2 years to build and used more power than some planets produced. The beam lanced out across space and hit the center of the alien formation. 3 alien dreadnoughts simply vanished, vaporized in an instant. Zarkith stared at his screen in horror. That's not possible. No species has weapons like that. No other species built weapons like that, Jake corrected. "We did." The alien fleet was now down to half strength and scattered across the solar system. Human ships continued to dart in and out, picking off isolated alien vessels. The aliens tried to regroup, but every time they formed up, another human surprise hit them. Engineer Kate Murphy had designed special virus programs that infected alien ship computers through their own communication systems. Every time the aliens tried to coordinate their fleet, human viruses corrupted their orders. "Sir," the alien tactical officer reported to Zarkith, "we've lost contact with 60% of our fleet. The ones we can still reach are reporting major system failures." Zarkith looked at the tactical display. Red symbols showed destroyed alien ships. Yellow symbols showed damaged ones. Green symbols showed ships that were still fighting. There weren't many green symbols left. "How is this possible?" he asked. "They're primitives. They barely have spaceflight." His communications officer looked up. "Sir, I'm intercepting human communications. They're enjoying this. They're laughing." That was when Zarkith understood the truth. These humans weren't fighting like any species the Council had ever faced. They weren't fighting to survive or to protect their territory. They were fighting because they wanted to win. "All ships," Zarkith ordered, "retreat. To jump distance. We need to report back to the Council." But even retreating was harder than expected. Human ships chased the aliens all the way to the edge of the solar system, picking off stragglers and damaged vessels. When Zarkith finally jumped to hyperspace, he had only 68 ships left out of the 200 he had started with. Behind him, the human fleet was already cleaning up the wreckage and rescuing alien survivors. The commander's final report to the Council was short and terrifying. "The humans do not fight like any species we have encountered. They are willing to sacrifice everything for victory. And they are very, very good at war." For the first time in 3,000 years, a Council disciplinary fleet had been defeated. Worse, it had been defeated by a species that was supposed to be primitive and weak. The Galactic Council was about to learn that humans were neither primitive nor weak. They were something much more dangerous. They were creative. The Council chamber had never been so loud. 12 different alien species were all talking at once, their voices echoing off the ancient walls. Some were angry. Some were scared. All of them were confused. Council Speaker Malixton raised his tentacles for silence. The ancient creature had lived for over 800 years and had never seen the Council in such chaos. "Order," he commanded. "We will discuss this calmly." Queen Crixana of the insect-like hive spoke first. Her compound eyes glittered with worry. 200 ships, gone, defeated by primitives who barely have faster-than-light travel. There. Not primitives, said war leader Thaxron of the Mechanical Nexus Collective. Our tactical analysis shows their weapons technology is at least 50 years ahead of what our intelligence reported. That's impossible, hissed Ambassador Vextar. 3 years ago, they were still using chemical rockets. 3 years ago. We thought they were harmless, Malixton said. We were wrong. On the other side of the galaxy, humans were not waiting for the aliens to make their next move. Admiral Lisa Carter stood in the command center of the secret base on Europa, Jupiter's moon. Around her, dozens of officers worked at planning tables covered with star maps. Operation Prometheus is ready to launch, reported Captain Scott Adams. He was young and eager, perfect for the dangerous mission ahead. Lisa nodded. Remember, we're not just gathering intelligence. We're looking for allies. Every species the Council has conquered is a potential friend. Scott studied the star chart showing his route. 17 systems, all with species that were forced. Join the Council. Dr. Bell thinks at least half of them might help us if we give them the chance. Dr. Bell has been right about everything so far, Lisa said. I hope he's right about this too. Meanwhile, on a mining world called Kepler 442b, something was happening that the Council had never expected. Commander Ellen Price sat across from Zakthar, leader of the local Zorathi workers. The Zorathi looked like tall, thin humans with blue skin and large eyes. They had been slaves to the Council for 300 years, forced to mine rare metals. For alien warships. You're telling me that your species defeated a Council fleet? Zakthar asked. His voice was quiet, like he was afraid someone might hear. Ellen nodded. 200 ships. We destroyed most of them and chased the rest away. That's not possible. No one fights the Council and wins. Ellen pulled out a small device and projected a hologram of the battle. Zakthar watched in amazement as human ships darted between massive alien vessels, striking and vanishing like ghosts. This is real? He whispered. Very real. And we're offering you the same chance. Freedom. Ellen opened a crate she had brought. With her, inside were weapons designed by Dr. Bell's team specifically for alien hands. Simple, reliable, and deadly. We can't give you everything at once, Ellen said. But we can give you hope, and we can give you the tools to fight back. Zakthar picked up one of the weapons. It felt good in his hands. For the first time in 3 centuries, he felt like he might have a chance. What do you want in return? He asked. Just promise us that when the time comes, you'll stand up and fight. Not for us, for yourselves. Back on Earth, Dr. Ryan Bell was working on his newest project. Engineer Kate Murphy stood beside him, watching as small automated ships rolled off the production line. Liberation pods, Dr. Bell explained. Each. One can carry enough weapons to arm a small rebellion. They're designed to slip past Council sensors and land on any world where people want to be free. Kate checked the specifications on her tablet. We can build 50 a day. At that rate, we could arm resistance movements on hundreds of worlds within a year. The Council has ruled for 3,000 years by making sure no one could fight back. Dr. Bell said, We're about to change that. The first Liberation Pod launched 3 days later. Its destination was a farming world where a peaceful species called the Melari had been forced to grow food for Council armies. The pod landed in the middle of the night, its automated systems immediately beginning to manufacture weapons, and communication equipment got within a week. Melari farmers were using human-designed weapons to attack. Council-supplied convoys. Similar pods landed on 17 different worlds over the next month. Each carried the same message. You are not alone. Earth stands with all free peoples. Fight back. The results were immediate and terrifying for the Council. On the mining world of Altair 7, rock-cutting tools became weapons against Council overseers. On the ice planet Vega 3, Hunters used human-supplied weapons to destroy Council communication towers. On dozens of worlds, species that had been slaves for centuries suddenly remembered what freedom felt like. Queen Crixana brought the bad news to the council chamber herself. Her insect-like form trembled with rage and fear. 17 worlds are in open rebellion, she reported. The humans have somehow armed our own subjects against us. That's impossible, said Counselor Maxton of the Aquatic Tide Swimmers. Our intelligence networks would have detected weapons shipments. Our intelligence networks detected nothing because the humans are using technology we don't understand, Crixana replied. They're not sending ships. They're sending small, automated devices that our sensors can't track. Malixton's tentacles writhed with anger. How many species are involved in these rebellions? At least 8 different species across 17 worlds, and the number is growing every day. War leader Thaxron studied the tactical displays. This is worse than a simple rebellion. The humans have created a coordinated resistance movement. They're teaching our subjects to fight like humans. What does that mean? Asked Ambassador Vextar. It means they're using guerrilla tactics. Hit-and-run attacks. Sabotage. They strike where we're weak and disappear before we can respond. It's the same strategy they used against our disciplinary fleet. Council Speaker Malixthan was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was heavy with worry. For 3,000 years, the Council has maintained order through strength and fear. Every species knew that resistance was hopeless. Now, these humans have proven that resistance is possible. It's worse than that, said Queen Crixana. Our agents report that the rebels are talking about the human victory constantly. They call it proof that the Council can be defeated. One victory proves nothing, Vextar said. One victory changes everything, Thaxron corrected. Every slave species in the galaxy now knows that someone said no to the Council and lived. That's the most dangerous idea in the universe. The Council chamber fell silent as the full meaning of the situation became clear. The humans hadn't just won a battle. They had started a revolution. On Earth, Captain Jake Morrison was reading intelligence reports when Admiral Carter walked into his office. We're getting reports from our agents across the galaxy, she said. The liberation pods are working better than we hoped. Resistance movements are popping up everywhere. Jake looked at the star map on his wall. Red dots marked worlds where rebellions had started. There were more red dots every day. Dr. Bell was right, Jake said. The Council kept control by making sure no one could fight back. Give people weapons and hope, and they'll do the rest themselves. There's something else, Lisa said. Our deep space monitors are picking up massive fleet movements. The Council is pulling ships from all over the galaxy. Jake stood up. How many ships? At least 5,000. Maybe more. They're not taking any chances this time. Jake walked to the window and looked out at Earth. The planet looked peaceful, but he knew it wouldn't stay that way for long. They're coming for us, he said. Yes, and they're bringing everything they have. Jake turned back to Admiral Carter. Good. When we beat them this time, the whole galaxy will see it happen. Lisa smiled grimly. You're confident we can win against 5,000 ships? I'm confident that humans never give up, and I'm confident that we're not fighting alone anymore. On 17 worlds across the galaxy, former slaves were cleaning weapons and planning attacks. In hidden bases, resistance leaders were coordinating strikes against Council supply lines. On Earth, Dr. Bell was putting the finishing touches on humanity's most desperate weapon. The Council was about to bring everything they had to destroy Earth. But Earth was ready. And this time, they wouldn't be fighting alone. The revolution had begun. War Marshal Quinder had never seen so many ships in one place. The combined Council fleets stretched across space like a metal cloud. blotting out the stars. 3 massive armadas from different parts of the galaxy, all converging on one small, blue planet. The machine-like being stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Dominance. Around him, displays showed the strength of his forces. 5,200 ships, including the most powerful vessels the Council had ever built. "This ends today," Quender said to his officers. "The human rebellion dies here." His tactical officer, a crystalline being named Vorthek, pointed to the tactical display. "Sir, we're detecting unusual activity around Earth. They appear to be moving civilian vessels." "Evacuating, no doubt," Quender said. "They know what's coming." What Quender didn't know was that the humans weren't evacuating. They were preparing for the largest space battle in galactic history. President Kevin Walsh stood in the war room, deep beneath the Earth's surface. Around him, the best military minds of humanity worked frantically at computers and communication. "Stations. Mr. President," Admiral Lisa Carter reported. "Every available ship is in position. Military vessels, converted freighters, even some civilian craft with weapons bolted on. We have 800 ships ready to fight." 800 against 5,000, President Walsh said quietly. "Not good odds." "We've faced bad odds before," said Captain Jake Morrison. He was now commanding the entire Earth Defense Fleet from his flagship, the ESV Defiance. "The question is whether our allies will arrive in time." Dr. Ryan Bell looked up from his computer terminal. "The solar lance is fully charged. The distributed command network is online. Even if Earth falls, our colonies and allies can continue the fight." "Earth is not going to fall," President Walsh said firmly. "Not today." The first Council ships entered Earth's solar system 3 hours later. Quender expected to see a small, desperate fleet trying to defend their homeworld. Instead, he saw something that confused him. Human ships were everywhere, but they weren't in formation. Some were hidden behind moons. Others were drifting near asteroids. Still others were moving in seemingly random patterns throughout the solar system. "Sir," Vorthak reported, "the humans appear to have no tactical plan. Their ships are scattered with no coordination." "That's what they want us to think," Quender said. He had studied the reports from the first battle. "Maintain formation. Advance slowly. Watch for ambushes." The Council fleet moved forward like a spear aimed at Earth's heart. The massive ships maintained perfect formation, their weapons charged and ready. On the ESV Defiance, Captain Morrison watched the aliens approach. "They're doing exactly what we expected. Same formation, same tactics." Major Anna Brooks, his weapons officer, checked her displays. "All ships report ready, sir." "The volunteers are in position." Morrison nodded. The volunteers were civilian pilots who had asked to fly converted cargo ships directly into the alien formation. They knew it was a suicide mission. They had volunteered anyway. "Commander Jack Turner, you're clear for the first strike," Morrison said into his radio. "Copy that, Defiance. Here we go." Turner's fighter squadron erupted from behind Jupiter's largest moon, diving toward the alien fleet at maximum speed. Behind them came converted civilian ships, freighters, and passenger liners that had been turned into improvised warships that the aliens opened fire. But the human ships were already weaving between the massive Council vessels. Dr. Bell's stealth technology made them hard to target, and their unpredictable flight patterns confused the alien computers. "First wave is engaging," reported Lieutenant Colonel Steve Parker from his position near Mars. "Enemy formation is holding, but they're taking damage." The real surprise came when Captain Doug Collins led his team of volunteer pilots directly into the center of the alien formation. Their ships were old freighters, but they were packed with explosives. "This is Collins," he said calmly over the radio. "Tell my wife I love her." His ship slammed into the side of a Council dreadnought and exploded. The alien ship, designed to withstand energy weapons, wasn't built to handle a direct impact from a ship filled with nuclear explosives. 3 more volunteer pilots followed Collins into the alien formation. Each explosion disabled or destroyed a massive council ship. Impossible, Quender said, watching his tactical display. They're ramming us with their own ships. Sir, Vorthak reported, we're detecting major system failures throughout the fleet. The humans are using some kind of computer virus. Engineer Kate Murphy's masterwork was spreading through the Council fleet's communication network. Every time an alien ship tried to coordinate with another ship, the virus infected their computers. Soon, half the Council fleet was operating blind. All ships cease network communications, Quender ordered. Fight independently. But fighting independently was something the Council fleets had never practiced. For thousands of years, they had relied on perfect coordination and computer assistance. Without those advantages, they were just big, slow targets. Human ships swarmed around the alien formation like angry bees. They struck at weak points, disabled weapon systems, and vanished before the aliens could respond. Every few minutes, another. The Volunteer pilot would ram his ship into a Council vessel, trading his life for a chance to save Earth. Sir, Morrison's communication officer called out, we're getting a transmission from the Council commander. War Marshal Quender appeared on the main screen. Behind him, the bridge of his flagship was filled with smoke and sparks. Human commander. Quender said, your resistance is futile. We have thousands of ships. You cannot destroy us all. Morrison smiled grimly. We don't need to destroy you all. We just need to make you understand that Earth will never surrender. Then you will all die, Quender said. Maybe, but we'll take as many of you with us as we can. The conversation was interrupted by an urgent report from the tactical officer. Sir, we're detecting massive energy buildup from the planet's surface. Doctor, L's solar lance fired for the second time in human history. The focused beam of solar energy cut through space like a sword of light, striking the center of the Council formation. 6 alien dreadnoughts simply vanished. Quender stared at his displays in shock. What kind of weapon is that? The kind that primitives aren't supposed to have, Morrison replied. The battle raged for hours. Human ships continued their hit-and-run attacks, while the Council fleet tried desperately to maintain formation. The aliens had more ships and better weapons, but they were fighting a kind of war they had never experienced. The turning point came when Commander Lisa Grant arrived with the Zorathy fleet. Grant had been working with the blue-skinned aliens for months, teaching them human tactics and helping them build weapons. Now 40 Zorathy ships dropped out of hyperspace behind the Council fleet. This is Grant, her voice came over the radio. Sorry we're late. Traffic was terrible. The Zorathy ships immediately began attacking the Council rearguard. More importantly, they were broadcasting on all frequencies, telling the story of human courage and Council defeat. This is for 300 years of slavery. Zakthar's voice echoed across space as his ship fired on his former masters. Ships began arriving. Melari vessels from the farming worlds. Rock haulers from the mining planets. Even some Council ships whose crews had joined the rebellion. War Marshal Quender realized with growing horror that he wasn't just fighting humans anymore. He was fighting a coalition of species that had all learned to fight like humans. Sir? Vorthak reported, we've lost 60% of our fleet. The remaining ships are scattered, and many have lost communication. Quender looked at the tactical display. Where once there had been a perfect formation of Council ships, now there was chaos. Burning wrecks drifted through space. Human and alien rebel ships darted between the survivors, picking them off one by one. We need to retreat, Vorthak said. No, Quender said firmly. The Council does not retreat. If we cannot defeat these primitives with conventional weapons, we will use the Planet Killer. The Planet Killer was the Council's ultimate weapon, a massive device that could crack a world's crust and boil away its atmosphere. It had only been used 3 times in Council history, and only against species that had committed terrible crimes against the Galactic Order. Sir, Vorthak said quietly, using the Planet Killer against Earth will be seen as an act of desperation. Other species will think that defying the Council leads to complete annihilation. Quender interrupted. Charge the weapon. On the ESV Defiance, Captain Morrison watched the massive Council weapon begin to glow with deadly energy. All ships, he said calmly. The enemy is charging a Planet Killer weapon. Any volunteers for a final run? The response was immediate. Every human ship still able to fight volunteered at once. Morrison felt a surge of pride mixed with sadness. These people were willing to die to save their world. Negative, Morrison said. I'm taking this one myself. Sir, you can't. Major Brooks started to protest. I can and I will, Morrison said firmly. Prepare to transfer command to Admiral Carter. Morrison's ship broke away from the battle and accelerated toward the Council superweapon. The massive device was nearly finished charging. In less than 2 minutes, it would fire and Earth would die. Jake, don't do this. Admiral Carter's voice came over the R. 6 months after the Battle of Earth, the galaxy was a different place. Admiral Lisa Carter stood on the bridge of the Freedom's Dawn, flagship of the Allied Liberation Fleet. Through the main window, she could see dozens of ships from different species, all flying together under the banner of the Terran Alliance. Admiral, reported Commander Ellen Price, we're receiving surrender offers from the Vega system. 3 more Council worlds want to join the Alliance. Lisa nodded. It was happening everywhere. Every day, more worlds abandoned the Council and joined the growing rebellion. What had started as Earth's desperate fight for survival had become a galaxy-wide revolution. Any word from the peace talks? Lisa asked. President Walsh reports that negotiations are going well. The remaining Council members are finally ready to discuss terms. The Council chambers were much quieter now. Only 6 of the original 12 species remained loyal to the old order. The others had either joined the rebellion or declared neutrality. Council Speaker Malik Stan looked older than his 800 years as he faced the human delegation. President Kevin Walsh sat across from the alien leader, flanked by Admiral Carter and Dr. Ryan Bell. The humans had come to offer peace, but only on their terms. The Galactic Freedom Accords, President Walsh said, sliding a datapad across the table. Read them carefully. Malik Stan's tentacles trembled as he read. The terms were simple but revolutionary. All species would have the right to govern themselves. No species could be forced to serve another. All slavery would be abolished immediately. The Council's military would be disbanded and replaced with a voluntary defense force. This would end 3,000 years of galactic order, Malik Stan said. 3,000 years of galactic oppression, Dr. Bell corrected. We're offering you the chance to build something better. And if we refuse? President Walsh gestured toward the window. Outside, the Liberation Fleet waited in orbit around the Council homeworld. Ships from 50 different species, all united in their desire for freedom. Then the revolution continues until every world is free. Walsh said simply. In another part of the galaxy, Captain Jake Morrison was leading a very different kind of mission. His ship, the ESV Unity, was visiting worlds that had been devastated by centuries of Council rule. Today, he was on Kepler 442b, helping the Zarathi rebuild their civilization. Zakthar, now the elected leader of his people, walked with Morrison through the ruins of an old mining facility. Your people gave us something. We had forgotten, Zakthar said. Hope, For 3 centuries, we believed freedom was impossible. Freedom is never impossible, Morrison replied. Sometimes you just have to fight for it. They stopped at a construction site where humans and Zorathy were working together to build a new city. Children of both species played together in the dirt, laughing and sharing toys. This is what the galaxy could be, Zakthar said. Different species working together as equals. Morrison smiled. It's what the galaxy will be. Back on Earth, Dr. Bell was working in his laboratory with engineer Kate Murphy. They were no longer designing weapons. Instead, they were developing new technologies to share with the Alliance worlds. The medical scanner's ready for testing, Kate said. If this works, we can cure diseases that have plagued some species for thousands of years. That's the point, Dr. Bell said. The Council kept species weak by controlling their technology. We're going to make everyone stronger by sharing everything we know. The door to the lab opened, and a young assistant rushed in. Dr. Bell, you need to see this. We're getting reports from the Outer Rim territories. Dr. Bell looked at the data. Pad the assistant handed him. His eyes widened in surprise. What is it? Kate asked. Species we've never even heard of. They're coming out of hiding and asking to join the Alliance. Some of them have been hiding from the Council for hundreds of years. The revolution was revealing just how vast the galaxy really was. The Council had ruled only the central regions, but there were countless species in the outer territories who had avoided conquest by staying hidden. Now they were emerging, eager to join a galaxy where freedom was possible. On the Alliance's newest member world, former Council Admiral Zeltar was training local defense forces. The crystalline being had joined the rebellion after witnessing the Battle of Earth, and now he taught alien species how to defend themselves using human tactics. Remember, he told his students, courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is fighting despite your fear. The humans taught me that. His students, members of a peaceful farming species, listened carefully as he explained how to protect their world from raiders and tyrants. Will we ever be as brave as the humans? One student asked. Zeltar smiled. You already are. You're here, learning to fight for your freedom. That's the bravest thing anyone can do. The final council meeting took place on a neutral space station, halfway between Earth and the council homeworld. President Walsh entered the conference room to find the remaining council leaders waiting for him. We have considered your terms, Malixton said. We accept the Galactic Freedom Accords. The signing ceremony was broadcast across the galaxy. Species that had been slaves for millennia watched as their oppressors officially gave up their power. Children who had never known freedom learned what the word meant. After the ceremony, Malixton approached President Walsh privately. You realize what you've done? The old alien asked. You've ended the longest period of galactic stability in history. Stability built on oppression isn't stability, Walsh replied. It's just fear. Real stability comes when everyone has a stake in keeping the peace. And you believe these democratic ideals will work on a galactic scale? President Walsh looked out the window at the mixed fleet of ships from dozens of species. I believe that freedom's worth trying for. 1 year later, Admiral Carter stood on the observation deck of New Geneva Station, the capital of the Terran Alliance. The massive space station orbited Earth's moon and served as the meeting place for representatives from over 200 species. Through the transparent aluminum windows, she could see ships coming and going constantly. Trade vessels, exploration ships, research stations. The galaxy was more active than it had ever been under Council rule. Penny, for your thoughts? Captain Morrison asked, joining her at the window. Just thinking about how far we've come, Carter replied. A year ago, we were fighting for our lives. Now we're building a new civilization. Any regrets? Morrison asked. Carter thought about all the people who had died in the revolution. The volunteer pilots who had sacrificed themselves. The rebels on distant worlds who had fought hopeless battles. The council soldiers who had simply been following orders. The cost was high, she said finally. But look at what we built with their sacrifice. Outside the window, a group of human children were playing with young aliens from a dozen different species. They chased each other through the station's garden areas, their laughter echoing through the corridors. The council was right about one thing, Morrison said. Their worst fears did come true. How so? They were afraid of humans spreading our ideals across the galaxy. They were afraid of other species learning to think like us. They were afraid of revolution. Carter smiled. They were right to be afraid. A new message arrived on Carter's communication device. It was from the exploration ship ESV Horizon, operating in the Galactic Rim territories. "Admiral," the ship's captain reported, "we've made contact with a previously unknown civilization. They call themselves the Etherians. They've been monitoring galactic communications and want to join the Alliance." Carter showed the message to Morrison. "What do you think?" "I think the galaxy just keeps getting bigger," Morrison replied. "And I think humanity's greatest adventure is just beginning." As they watched, another ship docked with the station. This one carried refugees from a world that had just overthrown its local tyrant with help from Alliance advisors. The refugees would be given new homes, new opportunities, and most importantly, new hope. The Council's reign of terror was over. In its place stood something unprecedented in galactic history, a voluntary alliance of free species, united not by fear, but by shared ideals of freedom and cooperation. Earth had struck back against the Galactic Council, and in doing so, humanity had given the galaxy its greatest gift, the knowledge that freedom was possible for everyone. The revolution was complete, but the real work was just beginning. Building a galaxy where every species could determine its own destiny would take generations. But as Admiral Carter watched human children play with alien friends, she knew it would be worth every effort. The Council had feared that humanity would spread chaos across the galaxy. Instead, humanity had spread something far more dangerous. To tyrants everywhere, hope, and hope, once ignited, could never be extinguished.